What's up, Ocean? You got Matt here, and today I'm bringing you a guide on how to use Palafin in competitive Pokemon. This thing is absolutely cracked and definitely one of the Pokemon that could be banned in the upcoming metagame. If you guys are excited for the video, make sure to leave a like on the video because we're aiming for 75 likes on today's content. Comment your thoughts on Palafin down below. Do you think it's gonna get banned, or do you not, or maybe you don't know yet? We're gonna discuss that today, and of course, subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to 2,000 subscribers before the end of the year. I know we can do it if you guys give us your support. Let's go ahead and jump on into it. Starting off with this Pokemon stats, I'm going to be covering Palafin in its Zero form and Palafin in its Hero form. For its Zero form, it's got 100 base HP with 70 attack, 72 defense, 53 special attack, 62 special defense, and 100 speed for 485 base stats overall. That's not good. It's not. Overall, this Pokemon is terrible. However, when it switches out, and when it switches out the first time, it just becomes a hero. And this thing is absolutely incredible. Still keeps his 100 base HP and 100 base speed, but every single other stat gets a pretty large increase. The attack stat goes from 70 to 160. 160 in attack. That's insane. On top of that, 97 defense, 106 special attack, and 87 special defense, which means it's a very bulky Pokemon that can do a ton of damage. This thing has 650 overall base stats, which is higher than every pseudo-legendary Pokemon. That's insane, and it's higher than a lot of legendary Pokemon as well. It's really crazy, but it just goes to show, because this Pokemon is really hard to obtain. You can't do it on your own. You actually have to be logging into the online portal to be able to get this thing, which is saying something. But anyways, moving on to its typing, it is a pure water type, and that is good and bad. Pure water types are solid overall. We've only got two weaknesses, to electric and to grass, and their resists are decent. There's fire, ice, water, and steel, and no immunities. Overall, the typing kind of does what you want it to. It's a bulky type that is not weak to too much, and it also is able to take a couple of hits from some notable types in the metagame. The main issue that we have with this Pokemon is that the resists are not very good in this current metagame, where there's a lot of ghost types, a lot of ground types, and a lot of dark types running around, and that's a bit of an issue. You also have to pair this Pokemon up with ways to handle those weaknesses, the electric and grass types. The good thing is there are a ton of those options. We're going to cover those a bit later. Moving on to its ability, it is Zero to Hero. This is the only ability that Palafin gets, and the way it works is when Palafin Zero is on the field, as soon as it switches out, it will now become a Palafin Hero form. So what that means, in really certain situations, if you were to go for a flip turn or just hard swap or parting shot or whatever, well, you couldn't parting shot, but you know what I mean. If you were to go for any of these situations, swap out and then get into another Pokemon, then switch back in another point in time, you now have an absolute monster on your side of the field to be able to make your opponent try and contend with. It's going to be very difficult for them to handle the Pokemon. Now, for the reason that it has to be swapped out and then swap back in for it to gain its hero form, a lot of people actually end up leading with this Pokemon, so you can kind of catch your opponent off guard if you're going to lead with the Palafin, or if you think they're going to lead with their Palafin, so keep that in mind. As for the move pool, its move pool is really not very diverse. It's got moves like Flip Turn, which is, again, super solid for this Pokemon. It actually gets it on evolution. It gets Wave Crash, which is a 120 base power water move, physical water move that acts like double edge. You take a third of the damage dealt in recoil. Could be good, could be worse. There's Jet Punch, which is the signature move for this Pokemon. It's got basically 60 base power, and it's priority. It's also a water move that's physical. So it's basically just better Aqua Jet. And that's good. It's good for this Pokemon. 160 base attack with 60 base power priority move, really solid. On top of that, it's got Ice Punch, which is the best way it has to hit grasses outside of like acrobatics. It's got Zen Headbutt for opposing fighting types, I guess, and well, what else is weak to Psychic? I'm pulling a blank right now, but either way, Zen Headbutt's not a very commonly run move on this Pokemon. It's got Drain Punch and Close Combat, which are two really commonly run moves on this Pokemon because they're absolutely deadly to either recover back HP or do massive damage with no downside in terms of recover, or in terms of health rather. And it's got Iron Head as well, which could be good in certain spots, but again, very rare when the main thing you're going to be hitting with Iron Head is going to be water types, and they take more from Wave Crash than they do from Iron Head. As for some teammates, I have quite a few of them here. We're going to start with Corviknight. This Pokemon is really good. Reason why, it's a strong check to opposing grass types in the format, and because there's so much U-turning going around right now, a Helmet Corviknight is amazing because your opponent's going to take a lot of chip from the helmet, and then you can get momentum as well on your U-turn. It's also good because it's a great defogger in the format. Right now, like I said before, there are so many ghost types around, and with there being so many ghost types around, you're in a situation where you can defog away hazards without having to worry about them being immune or spin blocking you, as it were, if you were to be like a Cyclizar, for example. Cyclizar goes for Rapid Spin, they go into their Goldengo? Yeah, that's the one, Goldengo, and they're immune to it now, and they can pressure you out. You don't really want that. Either way, solid option here. Next up is going to be Fluttermane. Fluttermane is the paradox form of Misdreavus. This Pokemon has ridiculously high special attack, special defense, and speed. The reason why I have it here is because it can break through really good physical walls, like Brambleghast, which is going to be going for a lot of strength saps, sub-leaf seed sets. The Tinglu, which is a really good special wall and physical wall, but the fact that you have access to your fairy stab on Fluttermane, you can break through it a lot easier. You have Slowbro and Slowking, which are going to be, again, very good physical walls that pair well with a lot of Pokemon this generation because of Regenerator and Slack Off. And it also lets you revenge kill threats like Meowscarada, excuse me. And the reason for that is because it's actually faster than those. So just be ready for that. Pokemon like Fluttermane is really good. On top of that, Ting-Lu, I mentioned it before, this Pokemon is a great hazard setter. It's got great defensive typing of Dark and Ground, and it can take basically any hit because it's ridiculously high base HP, stat at 155. And on top of that, its ability, Vessel of Ruin, will reduce the special attack of every opponent in Pokemon by 25% while it's on the field. Really strong there. Other than that, there is Baxcalibur. Baxcalibur and Paladin form a really nice core because they pressure each other's checks really well. Both of them really want to get rid of the water types because they want to go for their respective water and ice type attacks. Baxcalibur wants to use the Icicle Spears. It wants to go for a Glaive Rush. I know Glaive Rush is a dragon move, but still, you don't want to be going for Glaive Rush all the time unless you've been able to free up certain situations because you're going to be taking double damage the next turn. On top of that, you want to make sure that you're able to get past certain subs, like Cyclozar subs, and Icicle Spear does that, and Baxcalibur is one of the best Icicle Spear users in the metagame. Also, Chien-Pao. Chien-Pao is the Ice Dark member of the Dark Quartet. This one is really fast and really offensive. Like I said, Ice and Dark. And the main reason we have it here is because it is a great grass killer. It plays that role that the Palafin really desperately needs. It also wears down, again, opposing physical walls and opposing water types. So they can do the same role for each other in that way. Really solid option. Another contender to be banned in this new format. Then there's Slitherwing. This is the same role as the Chien-Pao. This is the paradox form of Volcarona, being bug and fighting. It's got decent speed at base 81, but it's got really high attack and decent special defense. It's able to just U-turn around, first impression to kill grass types, and just be really good with close combat as well. It's got a lot of good things going for it, but that's the main reason why it's here, because it's a good grass killer. Then there's Cyclozar. This is mostly there because you want to have a free sub with Shed Tail. It lets you get into Palafin for free, which is one of Palafin's biggest weaknesses. And then there's Grimmsnarl as well. The reason I have Grimmsnarl is because this Pokemon is able to set up Prankster screens or to Parting Shot into the Palafin and get you into a much bigger advantage, so that you may not have had that advantage before. So I really like the combination of the screens and the Parting Shot, momentum. That's basically what the Cyclozar and Grimmsnarl are all here for. As for good items, some good items I have on this Pokemon, there's very few of them. I have the Life Orb, which is the best item on this Pokemon, bar none. There is the Choice Band, which is, again, good in certain situations, but most of the time you want the flexibility to switch up your moves. There's the Choice Scarf, which could be good depending on the speed tiers you're really worried about on your given team. Then I think a really unique item for this Pokemon is actually the Punching Glove. This is a new item to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. It basically is a combination of Muscle Band and Protective Pads all in one. It boosts your punching moves by 1.1 times, so 10%, and it also avoids the effects of contact moves. So something like a Rocky Helmet or a Flame Body, for example, they wouldn't actually activate if you're going for punching moves, so really solid there. And then there's the White Herb. I'm kind of reaching a bit on this one. It's good for like Intimidate, but that's really it. So it's something. That's the main thing. I don't want to just leave you with 4 items and 2 of them are basically the same. So I felt like adding the White Herb there. As for some movesets now, there's a couple of movesets here. They're all very similar. Again, this is what you're going to run on this Pokemon. It's like the Darmanitan of this generation, the Galar Darmanitan of this generation. So it's going to be very similar. First things first, we have a Life Orb set with Flip Turn, Close Combat, Ice Punch, and Wave Crash to do big damage. It's Jolly nature, this one, because we don't have the priority. We have Ice Punch to break through grasses. Again, super solid overall. If you didn't want to worry about if you really want to have more priority options rather, and you want to recover back some health, you can go with a Drain Punch and Jet Punch over the Close Combat and the Ice Punch, which are solid options as well. Gives you more priority, gives you access to recovery. It could be advantageous to you. Then there's a Bandit set I have here, which is going to be Flip Turn, Close Combat, Jet Punch, and Ice Punch. All have good utility options here, can break through really effectively. And then the last one is going to be the Punching Glove set with the Flip Turn, Drain Punch, Ice Punch, and Jet Punch. 3 of the moves here are protected by the Punching Glove and boosted by it as well, which can be very good, but I would highly recommend that on a Bandit set you run Adamant, and on a Punching Glove set you run Jolly. Moving on to the predictions I have for this Pokemon. I believe this Pokemon will be banned from OU. It is really, really good, and it is the Galar Darmanitan of this generation, like I mentioned earlier. Everyone is going to be leading with this thing, so be prepared to deal with that, and they're going to swap into a pivot after. So again, if you have access to a fast U-turner that can pressure a lead of Palafin, then you're in a really good position. Something like Meowscarada can do a really good job of that. Basically, the main thing is they're going to swap into that Pokemon, this whatever's going to be the Slitherwing or the Corviknight, and then you turn around after to get into another advantageous situation, so Palafin in its hero form can break through. I think it's going to be an OU for a while because there's a lot of other broken stuff that's going to be actually banned earlier than that, so be ready for those. I'll have a guide on those up shortly, but it will get banned eventually. As for VGC, I think it's good, but it's going to be nowhere near as good as it would be in singles. And the reason for that is because there's a lot less switching happening in VGC, and it really appreciates the support that a Pokemon can provide, like a Raichu for like Fake Out support and Lightning Rod. However, it's going to be the the target of double targeting moves and of fake outs and of moves that are going to be inflicting status. Also, Miraidon's going to be setting up electric terrain. So as soon as Miraidon comes into the format, electric type moves are going to be boosted and they're going to be targeted all at the Palafin. So be careful about running Palafin in VGC. As for Draft League, this is my specialty here. So if you guys like that type of content, make sure to subscribe, of course. Like I said before, this Pokemon Draft League is going to be just like in singles. It's very good. On a 17 to 18 point scale in a Draft League, this Pokemon is going to be around 15 to 17 points. I don't see it any lower than that. The issue I have with Draft League is it's a lot less consistent. It's not very consistent because you have to find a way to switch out and come back in. You're not always given that luxury if you're playing against a good player. So be ready for that. It's going to be a lot harder for you to be able to get into your hero form than other situations without maybe sacking something off, which would suck. Also, its coverage is lackluster. It really is only very few coverage moves that are going to be doing a lot of work. Most of the time you're running Wave Crash and Flip Turn and Jet Punch, but at the end of the day, it's 3 water moves. You want to have other options. Absolutely, you really do, because that's one of the hallmarks of having a good Pokemon on a Draft League team. They can do a lot of different things. This Pokemon is really a one-note type of thing. Its speed stat is also low compared to a lot of the other high-tier threats like Iron Valiant and Roaring Moon, so just be ready for running some Scarfs potentially in Draft League. And that being said, though, it's still going to be one of the best Pokemon out there, especially in the right hands. And that's all I've got for you guys today on Palafin. If you guys enjoyed the video, then make sure to leave a like on the video because we're aiming for 75 likes on today's content. Also, comment your thoughts on Palafin down below. Are you excited to use it in competitive Pokemon? Let me know. Be sure to subscribe to the channel as well because we're on the road to 2,000 subscribers and we cannot get there without your help. So I'd really appreciate if you guys stuck around, subscribed, and keep enjoying the content. Also, I want to give a big shout out to our YouTube channel members. We have our level 1s, which are going to be Liv, Eric, Zeke, and Texas Man. Our level 2 is Tone, and our level 3 is Sully. They've all been absolutely amazing by going the extra mile supporting the channel financially. If you'd like to do so as well, there is the join button at the bottom of the screen. But guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys all tomorrow.